The victim is thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green. It happened on the pavement running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for horse-drawn vehicles. It had not long stopped snowing as the victim, Miss Green, was walking down the street. Out of the blue, she was approached from behind by the accused and stabbed in the back. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Those being a number of old books he just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems. Oh yes, I can clearly see the books to which you are referring. The closest second-hand bookshop to the accused lodgings is this place here, Bourbon Books, which means it doesn't take a genius to work out the route he would have taken home. This receipt was issued from a bookshop called Your Books. The bookshop in question was not Bourbon Books. It turns out that Your Books is just here on the next corner of Meerschaum Street going east. So you were out digging up the roads on the day of the incident as well, were you? It was just round the corner from where it all happened. By this old bookshop it was. We now know that there were works being carried out on Meerschaum Street, making it impassable, which means that the defendant's route home could not have taken him along Meerschaum Street and down Briar Road. The incontrovertible truth is that the books just purchased by the accused were found at the scene. There can be no doubt that on his way back to his lodging, Mr. Knotts walked down Briar Road. The prosecution requests permission to call its next witness to the stand. Oh gosh. I always have this moment. This would be a good time to stop. I don't know, when I'm in these trials, I just want to continue till the end. Even if it means, making 2 episodes or whatever. Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. Oh gosh. Constable royally beat, sir. Nothing to report on the street, sir. Oh gosh. He looks drunk. And incompetent. And I'm Mrs. Beat. Patricia's my name. I'm proud to say I'm this young town hero's wife. Wife. I said wife. I don't know why I said it twice. Wake up, son. What's the story here? Well, in truth, we've not been married long. In fact, we celebrated our first anniversary only the other day. No, it was your husband I was asking about. He seems tired. Hardly surprising. Whilst being an honorable occupation, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work of the world. Oh, really? I'm sure I've heard that before, actually. Indeed, apart from rare days off, our gallant officers trudge some 20 miles a day, They patrol boarding houses and pubs, collect taxes, survey the streets, check that meters are reading true, and they're responsible for keeping the streets clean and lighting and extinguishing our streetlights. There are a number of items on that list that don't sound much like policing duties at all. I wouldn't just be falling asleep on my feet. I'd have collapsed long ago. But it goes without saying that a policeman's primary duty is the apprehension of criminals. Even when he's off duty, a constable is expected to investigate and resolve any crimes on his beat. For the London Bobby is a man of honor. You got that right. And a man of slumber? On the day in question, this man and his wife were walking down Briar Road in the opposite direction, and they witnessed the incident as it occurred. Is that not correct, Mr. and Mrs. Beat? That's right, sir. Isn't it, Rowley? Whatever. Constable Royley Beat, sir. Nothing to report on the street, sir. What a great witness he's going to be. Okay, wait a minute. So this is the guy that they said is like the most respected guy in the town or whatever they said? Okay, and yes, I just realized this does confirm that this is the same, where was it, in the case file? Yeah, the reporting officer was him. Which makes sense if he witnessed it. Very good. I'd like to hear your formal testimonies now, please. You will tell the court exactly what you saw on the afternoon of the incident. Yes, sir. Good night. Oh, gosh. Why can't we ever have normal witnesses? What the witnesses saw. It was our wedding anniversary and Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work. Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us. All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor. Then the other scattered something before running off. We ran straight over, of course, and then went for help at a nearby police box. It was definitely that Japanese man in the dock. Rolly and I both saw him as clear as day. Notice he didn't say anything. Well, this is extremely compelling testimony, I must say. Oh dear, this policeman and his wife are claiming to have positively identified Mr. Natsume at the scene. If their testimony is true, the alternative course of events that you established in the summation examination will be quashed. It's death knell, in fact, because that alternative was never viable in the first place. What an unfortunate chancing, and on your wedding anniversary too. Oh, I know, but I still managed to go out for the evening with my man. I thank the Lord for that. Gosh, the life of a London Bobby sounds very hard indeed. Yeah, policemen have it rough. Especially in America at the moment. Indeed, however, this cross-examination will be over in minutes. You may well have time to rest this afternoon. What do you mean by that? My learned friend, the witnesses saw the face of the man fleeing the scene. They are testifying under oath that it was without a doubt the accused, Mr. Suzuki Natsume. And one of those witnesses is a policeman, no less, so you appreciate the gravity of the situation, I'm sure. He seems very competent. Except that the man's so tired his wife has to do all the talking. I know, I noticed that too, so... Enough preamble. Counsel for the defense, commence the cross-examination, please. Yeah. Yes, my lord. Cross-examination. Let's go, Van Zykes. Okay, so he didn't talk, but I wouldn't be surprised if we can get a reaction out of him. I almost forgot about that, gameplay mechanic. But, the thing where she's talking and then he'll react to something she says. Okay, but let's see if there's anything that sticks out. Yeah, let's press this. But surely you wouldn't have been able to see his face by the light of the gas street lamps, would you? We absolutely could. Us Londoners have exceptional eyesight. I'll have you know. Right. The light from the street lamps was more than enough. And my husband already told you that the fog was only light, didn't he? Did he? Yes. And what of the fog? We're famous for it across the globe, I believe. But it's an absolute menace to those of us who have to live with it, of course. Yeah, I've actually been to London, and that's no lie. It's quite foggy over there. Oh, it is. When it's thick, you can't even see the end of your own arm. Yes, alright, I take your point. Now, could you stop shaking your husband about? I can't breathe, I can't. The constant fog makes our eyes very sharp, you see? That's why we can't tell you for sure and certain that it was that little Japanese man we saw. Tee-hee! Can't we, darling? Oh, whatever you say, madam. I mean, wife. Huh? What? Ah, yes. It was the accused, and no mistake. The mustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the snub... unmistakable, sir. As far as this couple's testimony is concerned, there can't be any question. It was Suzuki-san they saw running away from the scene of the crime. So that's it, is it? That's their entire testimony? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I hate to admit it, but on hearing the testimony, it really does seem as though Mr. and Mrs. Beat saw what they saw. They say they saw. Sorry. Mr. Natsume running away from the scene on Briar Road that day. Yes, I feel the same. So if that's true, where does it leave us? The members of the jury are sure to call for a guilty verdict after this testimony. Oh no. Then what do we do? If Kazuma-sama were here... What are you trying to say? He'd have had this case solved by now, Ryunosuke. I think he would try to find I think he would try to find a contradiction somewhere else within their testimony. What do you mean, somewhere else? Their statement about seeing Mr. Natsume is unequivocal. Calling that into question won't help. But if you could identify some other part of their testimony which appears to contradict the facts, you might be able to discredit them, to make the jury doubt if the pair's memory of the day is accurate. Oh, right. Put simply, we must focus on finding a discrepancy in these statements somewhere. If we don't, I'm afraid the trial may reach an early and unfavorable conclusion. Why do I always seem to be so up against it? Let's check this.
Hold it!
Scattered something? What do you mean by that? Oh, well, I couldn't quite make out what it was at the time. But then we got closer. We realized what it was. Didn't we, darling?
Didn't we?
Tee! Aren't I so cute? Huh? What? Ah, yes, that's right. It was some old books.
I see. Old books?
Yes, sir. The culprit had dropped a number of them, all around where the victim lay on the pavement.
Indeed, as clearly pictured in this photographic print.
Yep, you can see him. That rotten Japanese man did that when he did the deed.
Hold it!
Let's not forget that it remains to be established that the defendant was indeed the attacker. But we saw him. It was the man in the dock without question, sir. The mustache, the hunched back, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the snub nose. Everything. Any more insults you want to throw in? That's right. He looked down at the poor, defenseless woman with those terrifying, intense eyes. And then suddenly threw his books onto the pavement and ran away. I see. This is tough. They seem as though they're telling the truth here. May I remind the court that this unambiguous testimony comes from a policeman and his wife. Now please, continue. Thanks for reminding us. Yes, sir.
Hold it!
Two silhouettes? That's right. They were coming towards us, walking up Briar Road in the opposite direction. There was a rather plump figure, followed by a scrawny, thin-looking man. That does sound exactly like the victim as pictured in this print, and like Mr. Natsume. Yes, unfortunately it does. And you're certain that at the time, there was nobody else nearby? Oh yes, quite certain. It was dark, but there were streets on Briar Road, you see. There was nobody else around at all. Isn't that right, my darling? Well? Say something.
Huh? What?
Oh yes, that's right. Of course there was a light fog on the ground. But Briar Road is dead straight, and you can see a fairly long way down the pavement. And then there's the street light as well. I didn't see any other pedestrians. Before sleep takes a firm hold, your answer please, Mr. Beat. Are you quite sure of what you've just said? Yes, sir. As a cop who spends all day, every day, keeping watch on the streets, I'd swear to it, sir. Oh, she's like a lovesick puppy. I'm as sure as my love for Patricia is true. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. Oh, gosh, I'm gonna barf. Huh. They're still maintaining that there was no one else around other than the victim and the attacker. It's starting to seem like that must be how it really happened. It's beginning to seem like there's nowhere to run. Well, that didn't stop Mr. Natsume, did it? He fled the scene all too convincingly. Thank you. I believe we have a reasonably clear idea of the situation just before the incident now. What happened in the crucial moments that followed?
Hold it!
What about this? Was it your husband who went to fetch help? No, I went. I may not be a police officer myself, but I am the proud wife of one after all. Isn't that right, my darling? Well? What? Oh yes, that's right. I asked Mrs. Beat to go. I was off duty by that point. But a Bobby's never truly off duty, of course, so I felt obliged to stay and guard the scene.
Very laudable, Mr. Beat. Preserving the scene of a crime is a task of considerable importance.
That's why I sent Patricia, you see? I told her where to find the right police box. Forgive my ignorance, but what do you mean exactly by the right police box? Depends on the crime location, you see, as to who deals with it. Where the woman was stabbed wasn't actually on my beat. So I told Patricia the way to the police box for the beat the incident fell under so she could go and report it. I ran there as quickly as I could and asked for help when the Bobby on duty. There's nothing more potent than a young couple in love, working together, you know? And thanks to your swift response, the case was quickly resolved. The actions of two mortal citizens. Oh, please, you're making us blush. Isn't he, darling? I can't breathe, Patricia. You really should stop that. Yes, sir. What Patricia said, sir. Good night. Let's move on, shall we? Okay, so far I haven't gotten anything. I think all that's left is the very first statement.
Hold it!
No time to change after work, you say? Are you also a member of the police, Mrs. Beat? Oh no, sadly not. It's a job for strapping young men only. Women, children, and the elderly can't even apply. Well, I think you can probably see why children and the elderly can't do the job, can't you? I think Rolly looks ever so handsome in his uniform. It suits you down the ground, doesn't it, darling? How many times are you gonna keep doing that, Patricia? What? I just finished my beat. Pat and I were heading back to the station. I was actually planning on getting changed there. Is he talking in his sleep? This is creepy. Oh no, Rolly. I much prefer you in uniform. Sometimes I don't recognize you when I see you in plain clothes. Oh dear, that doesn't seem healthy.
Kindly adhere to the point. You were going for a meal after you had finished your beat for the day, correct?
That's right, sir, yes. Although I was fit to drop, to be honest. I'll have to spend the whole day on my feet. But policing is my life, sir. As long as I'm the proud owner of this, I'll serve my city and my queen to the end. What's that now? My warrant card, sir. Proof that I'm a London copper. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to us all as policemen of our sworn duty. I can't talk, sir. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. Sir, and for such a noble cause, I cover 20 miles every single day without fail and without a grumble. Because I know that the plodding of my boots is all Londoners need to hear to feel safe and secure. Thank you. So, fighting crime doesn't appear to come into it then. But sir, just on that one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. Beat puts up with a lot being married to a Bobby like me. I want to show my dear wife how much I care. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. Oh, what a charming couple. The young love is such a joy to behold. If a little over the top, perhaps. Just a little bit. And then, kindly describe what happened next. Mr. Lawyer, sir. Can I ask you something? Oh? Yes, of course. What is it? Okay, so I guess I needed to press him on everything. Well, you keep asking us all these questions about everything we told you so. It seems like you don't believe our testimony. Is that right? Is it? Well, out with it! Put him up! What? No, no, no! Oh no, it's really not that at all. My husband's a policeman, remember? And I know what I saw! I remember every last detail. Everything, like... Oh, I know! What about the books the man dropped? I could tell you the names of every single one I could. Every single one. And you dare to question how reliable my testimony is? Pat, you're gonna snap my neck! No, it won't do at all! That Japanese lawyer has no idea what I'm capable of. Even if I decide to forgive him for insulting us, don't think for a minute that Rolly will. I really didn't mean to cause offense. Please put your husband's fist down.
Perhaps you would like the opportunity to supplement your testimony, Mrs. Beat? Might that appease you?
Oh, thank you, my lord. That would settle things nicely. What is it, darling?
Was that? Sure, whatever.
I could even tell you the names of the 4 books he dropped at the... Oh, there we go.
So see, she had nothing I could dispute, and now I'm gonna press her anyway, just to, well, I really don't think I need to, though. You can tell me there's the 4 books he dropped at the scene. Clearly there's only 3. I'm just gonna go for it.
Objection!
Objection! So, you're saying that there were 4 books?
That's right. I remember all of them. The picture of Monsieur Somebody, What's It Yearnings, A Meal for Someone, and the Thingamajiggy something. Obviously. I know what I'm talking about.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Beat. But there is a fundamental flaw in that statement of yours.
Oh no. What flaw?
Simply that at the scene of the crime, there were only 3 books, not 4.
What?
Oh, you just... Have a good look at this photographic print of the scene of the crime. As you can clearly see, there were only 3 books.
But, no. That can't be. I saw them. Oh, I know what it is. Yes, you can't fool me.
Sorry?
It's that big old lump of a dead body. The lady's so large her corpse is blocking the view of the 4th book, that's all.
Let's at least try to remember that the poor woman isn't dead, even if we're insulting her size. I'll admit, I at times I forget. Especially during the investigation, there were times where I completely forgot she was alive still. No, I'm sorry, Miss Beat. But Mr. Natsume could not possibly have dropped the 4 books you describe.
Why not?
Okay, I think I already know, because the receipt only shows 3 books. Fascinating. And from your assured tone, something you can readily substantiate with evidence, I presume? Ah, evidence. I sure can. Counsel, you will present evidence to substantiate your claim or withdraw it. What proof do you have that the accused did not drop 4 books? It's this. The sum of 2 shillings tendered in receipt of those 3 books.
Take that!
Take that, sir! The evidence is right here, in the form of this bookshop receipt. From your books... No, my books. Okay, that's enough. Yes, this receipt details Mr. Natsume's purchases that day. But as you can see, only 3 books are listed.
No!
Therefore, Mr. Natsume would have only dropped 3 books at the scene of the crime. Which means that your powers of observation, madam, cannot be relied upon.
Grr! How dare you!
So, it cannot be denied that though you say it was the defendant you saw, you could very well be mistaken.
Oh no! Oh no, oh no, oh no! No!
Objection!
What do you have to say, Mr. Zykes? It's plainly evident that it is your powers of deduction that cannot be relied upon, my learned Nipponese friend. What? What cannot be denied is that these 2 witnesses saw the accused running from the scene. I'll tell you as soon as I drink my grape juice, a fact that you know very well you have no hope of disproving. Ah. So you've striven to avert attention from that by dint of some inconsequential discrepancies. Would that be fair? He sees right through me. But your plan has somewhat recoiled against you. What are you talking about? It's quite simple. Let me explain with a toast. To the policeman's wife and her entirely accurate testimony in every respect.
Oh!
You see, the matter is not up for debate.
At the scene on Briar Road, a total of 4 books were most definitely found.
Objection!
Care to elaborate? But what about the photographic print? It only shows 3 books. Quite right, only 3 can be seen in that print. That print? You mean to say... Burn, baby! Allow me to present another, one that shows the victim's hand. The Lion's Pride. Oh, isn't that... Okay, I have a weird prediction. Okay. Time for the part of the show where I BS stuff. This is kind of coming... Well, it's not coming out of nowhere. So, the reason... Obviously, this book, I think that's a connection to Mr. Garadeb, right? Isn't that the book he had? What if the maid is not Mrs. Garadeb? What if this lady is Mrs. Garadeb? Like, right? Because I'm just thinking, like, the thing that they have in common is that they both have a plump frame. And, like, the picture, for example, the face of the wife was smashed. We don't even know why that happened. You could say maybe in her fit of rage that happened. But what if, I don't know why, but again, I'm just thinking she has the plump frame, the maid has the plump frame. The wife could very well be her. What if she was Mr. Garadeb's actual wife? I don't believe it. It's the 4th book. As you will observe, the 4th book was hidden from view in the original print by the victim's torso. No. No! Order! Order! There, you see? You see? Look at that! Look! 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 I see it! I see it! I see it, Patricia! Yes? It's just like I said, isn't it, my darling? Yes, sir! Patricia's always right, sir! It's clear who wears the pants in this relationship. Let us study the receipt for the books purchased by the accused on the day in question. Mrs. Beat, the titles once again, if you please. Oh, yes, of course. The picture of Monsieur somebody or other. The picture of Monsieur Lecoq. Lecoq. What's it, yearnings? Canterbury yearnings. A meal for someone or other. A meal for Gavrot, in fact. As the court has just heard, the witness remembers the book titles flawlessly, save for a few minor details, but that's not important. Mrs. Beat's powers of recollection can only be described as exceptional. Did you hear that, Rowley? The gentleman paid me a compliment. Yes, sir. Flawless, sir. Patricia is flawless. But there are only 3 books on the receipt, and Mrs. Beat mentioned 4. Well, I mean, if what's-her-face is holding it, if the lady's holding it, then, then obviously the 4th book probably didn't belong to Natsume, but probably belonged to her. There's nothing surprising about that. Clearly, the 4th book is that which is shown in this photographic print. I'm sorry, counsel, but does that not seem odd? Why should the 4th book be omitted from the receipt? It's not odd at all, my lord. As the photograph clearly shows, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, it belongs to the victim. The victim was holding her own book? I wonder, what became of the 4th book? Obviously, it wasn't overlooked by the investigating officers at Scotland Yard. I have it here as evidence. You will submit that and the aforementioned photographic print to the court, please, counsel. My pleasure, my lord. The second crime scene photograph has been entered in the court record. Okay, a second photograph of the scene taken by a policeman that just after the incident specifically shows the victim's hand. Okay. The 4th book, a book entitled The Lion's Pride, discovered in the victim's hand at the scene. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I remember that book, and Mr. Garadeb talked about it. The prosecution rests. Take a quick look at both of those. Okay. I do see... Oh, I noticed this, but I was so focused on my theory that I didn't point it out. It's burnt. And we know that... So yeah, this totally came from Garadeb's bookcase then. It was probably burnt in the fire, which means she was killed after the fire. The fire happened, and then she had this book somehow and left. And now let's see, can we look at the contents of this book? Lion's Pride. Let me see, it's a book entitled The Lion's Pride. I'm afraid I don't know any English literature at all, so it wouldn't be something I've heard. Wait a minute. The Lion's Pride? That's strange. I think I've heard of a book by that name before, and very recently too. It's a title I recognize too, Mr. Naruhodo. Yep. Me too. I don't know if we can open it at all. Well, obviously we take a look at the burn. Oh, look at this! The book has been badly burnt. You're right. You'd never be able to read it in this state, especially not the latter pages. What a terrible waste. Judging from the scorched edges of the paper, I think the damage must have occurred very recently. Book recently damaged by fire. Why did that seem to raise a red flag with me? Ah, okay. The back cover is badly burnt, so it's been updated. Cool. I don't think we can open it. I have nothing further to add. What? You seem surprised, my learned friend. But your resistance until now has been in vain. Entertaining, yes, but futile. The spurious longer route to the accused lodgings that you tried to establish in your summation examination, and the attempted discrediting of the witness's powers of recollection in your cross-examination. Futile? I walked right into this, didn't I? Yes, you did, as always. You see, everything we've said is true. Isn't that right, my darling? Yes, Pat. Marry me, Pat. Let's make out right here on the desk, Pat. So perhaps the ladies and gentlemen of the jury would like to reconsider their positions? Should the court waste any more time on this Nipponese travesty? Or is the decision you have to make all too apparent already? Uh-oh. No! You have heard all the witnesses and seen all of the evidence. This trial has run its course. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid we are in a terribly precarious position. I know, but if I fight back in the wrong way now, I could very well just make matters worse. Think, Ryunosuke, think. What do you do now? I guess we raise an objection? When don't we?
Objection!
I'm not done yet. No, my learned friend. It's over. That last cross-examination was your final chance to establish a credible defense, and you failed. The die has been cast. There is no more room for debate. Well, it might be over as far as you're concerned, but... I can't think of what to say. If I may, Lord Van Zykes, it seems somewhat boorish to close down the debate at this point. Oh, you got their attention, Suzuto. Humph. Your insignificant little Eastern Isle must be a lawless hole indeed. For a lowly judicial assistant to have the audacity to intervene at a moment like this. Oh, shut up and listen, you... No, you vampire. I am, to my shame, still a very inexperienced lawyer. So you will have to forgive me, but I consider my assistant's advice essential and her opinions invaluable. Mr. Naruhodo! You got this, Suzuto. One of this land's great guiding principles is tolerance. So, the court will hear you, madam. Go ahead, Miss Suzuto. Please. Don't say something stupid. Very well. Pray, what insight can you give us? What have we all overlooked in this matter that you see fit to pursue further? Nah, I changed my mind. Well, the court has been presented with new evidence, but only after the last cross-examination finished. I see. And you believe that this new evidence warrants further examination, do you? I say yes. Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think? It's just possible that this new evidence might be the decisive proof we've been waiting for. The judge is sure to ask the members of the jury to announce their leanings in a moment. And of course she's sure to ask you to explain what the crucial piece of evidence is and why. So we must take this opportunity to examine the newly presented evidence as thoroughly as possible. Yes, I understand, and Thank you, Miss Suzuto. This is it. Suzuto-san has managed to win us one last chance here. I can't let it go to waste. The defense wishes to present evidence, my lord. It's probably the book. Very well. The defense may present one further piece of evidence. Evidence that apparently offers a profound insight into this case and has hitherto been overlooked. I mean, I examined the book, and we got the burn. That's probably what we have to examine then. I'm gonna go for it.
Take that!
The evidence in question is what we can see from the newly presented photographic print of the crime scene. The fourth book found in the victim's hand.
Objection!
We have already discussed the fourth book at length. Other than it being in the victim's grasp at the time of the incident, no significance has been attached to it. Pursuing the matter further would be a flagrant waste of the court's time, as you well know. No, we're onto something. Yes, I'm afraid, counsel. I must concur with the prosecution on this matter. When I afforded you this opportunity, you led the court to believe that the evidence in question contained a hitherto undiscovered clue. It does. So I must insist that you elaborate, counsel. You will identify this clue at once. Do I make myself clear? Yes, my lord. It's, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe the prosecution is trying to avoid a thorough examination of the evidence, which means you may very well be on the right track. Yes, I think you might be right. So, counsel, precisely where is the vital clue to this case, which this fourth book conceals? It is right here.
Got it!
I would ask the court to observe the back of the book in question. The back? What do you... Good gracious. It's been burned to a crisp. So we have to ask ourselves, why was the victim clutching what is clearly an unreadable book? It is undeniably an extremely unnatural thing for her to have been doing.
Objection!
Unnatural, you say? And what of it, my Nipponese friend? Oh. Were I to concede the point, if it bears no relation to the case, there is nothing to discuss. So, should you wish to assert that this fire damage is some veiled clue as to what happened that day? Pray do enlighten us all. What truth does this charred book hide? A charred book. There's this one possibility here, which I can't quite bring myself to rule out. It's an outside chance, certainly, but worth a try. You got this. Alright, I'll explain my theory. Don't keep us waiting any longer then, counsel. Explain this theory of yours. What are you suggesting that you can ascertain from the fire damage the story tomb has suffered? Yes, its owner. My lord, the burn on the back of this book reveals a startling truth. About the book's owner. I beg your pardon? But we already know who the book belongs to. The victim was gripping it in her hand as she fell to the floor. After all, it's obviously hers. The question of how this book came to be in the victim's hand has yet to be answered. However, as to the questions of who the book really belongs to and where it originated, the defense has very credible answers. Good gracious, how can you possibly? Very well, I'll play along with this futile attempt to delay your inevitable demise. But do remember, the members of the jury may well burn you if your little gamble goes awry. Smack. Counsel, the defense's response here is very likely to influence the final outcome of this trial. So tell the court, who do you claim is the owner of this burnt book? It is you, Mr. Garadeb, John Garadeb.
Take that!
The answer is that the book belongs to the couple who own the house where the defendant has his lodgings. A certain Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb. The landlords? And whether this is some extraordinary coincidence or some kind of fate at work, I don't know. But of all the people in London, one of the 6 chosen for jury duty in this courtroom today is none other than Mrs. Garadev herself. Oh my goodness! Me? I think you must be mistaken, sir. I'm not Mr. Garadev's wife. I'm his maid. Things would be so much easier if you would just drop the pretense. You're not supposed to lie in court, madam. Oh wait then, how about a simple question for you? Have you ever seen this book in Mr. Garadev's house? I would never presume to know all the books he keeps, sir.
Objection!
This is outlandish behavior. This woman is the accused landlady, you say? You implicate this hard-working member of the public. You besmirch her without a shred of evidence. Your actions are unforgivable.
Objection!
I don't know about that. This is not mere conjecture. The defense happens to know that on the day in question, at almost exactly the same time as the victim was stabbed on the pavement below, another incident was taking place in the room on the top floor of Mr. and Mrs. Garadev's house. Good lord! What sort of incident, counsel? A fire, my lord. I knew that there was no way that had nothing to do with the case. I knew it had to come back around somehow. Afraid to say it happened in the blink of an eye, you know? The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't say a bally thing. Or see a bally thing. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started going up as well. Worst of it is, I lost my favorite. Book called The Lion's Pride. The Lion's Pride? Oh, look at that look. By Jove, the very same title that's the subject of this debate. Oh dear me!
Objection!
Bam! This is risible. All you've told this court is that a book by the same name was involved in a fire. In which case, it would be reasonable to assume that it was burnt to ashes. And entirely unreasonable to infer that it magically removed itself to the scene of the crime. Perhaps it would make more sense if I told you that the cause of the fire was marital discord. Without going into details, it appears that Mrs. Garadev was considerably enraged. Apparently, she continued to attack Mr. Garadev even amid the flames. Oh, how awful! I can't even imagine being so horrid to the one you love. Can you, Rolly? Absolutely not, sir. My Patricia would never raise a finger against me, sir. I doubt that. She'll just choke me instead. It's kind of kinky. I like it. Had all my favorite old novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh, up in smoke. Then the wife started hurling things at me. There was I back up against the window under heavy enemy fire. Incendiary books incoming 10 to the dozen. Yeah, she's got a bit of an anger problem. What of it? The man had his back up against the window, and he had burning books thrown at him. Ah, that's right. So what if the book just was flown out the window? Okay. Maybe it even hit the lady or something, or it fell by her feet. Goodness gracious, are you suggesting that the book was thrown through a window and landed coincidentally at the scene of the crime?
Objection!
No, a thorough investigation of the surrounding area was conducted the very evening of the incident, and there was no report of the Garadev's window pane being broken. That's quite true. We also saw no sign of broken glass when we visited the Garadev household. What if the window was open? But it is not conceivable if the window was open at the time and... Oh, is it not conceivable if the window was open at the time and... Not even remotely, I think, because it's winter. Let us not forget the season and the chilling weather that accompanies it. No Londoner would ever leave a window open in the middle of winter. I don't know about that. So does the defense postulate this scenario in all seriousness, counsel? Do you earnestly claim that the book found at the scene was flaming projectile thrown by Mr. Garrideb's wife? I believe it's a possibility, my lord. We must follow the evidence. That's quite enough. Who is that? Oh, it's her. Well, I hope that everyone can see you for what you are now, you little foreign trickster. You call yourself a lawyer, but you're just a coward. A mean coward. Really? Claiming that her little tips set the whole neighborhood alight, honestly. Implying that I'm merely posing as a maid for appearance's sake. How could you? It's nothing to do with this beastly case, not any of it. All you've done is sully our family's name. No, I assure you, that was never my intention. Dragging an upstanding citizen's name through the mud simply to divert attention with your failing defense. I should box your ears, that's what I should do. It's utterly unforgivable. Too right. Here we go. How long have we sat here now, listening to this Nipponese shouting out his fancy foreign theories? But think about it. At the end of the day, the only person who could possibly have stabbed the victim is that little hunchback with the mustache. And he ran away from the scene too. I do declare you're right. It's true. Yes, what did I tell you? Makes sense to me. Huh? Sorry. What's that? Well, it would appear that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are once again in full agreement. What is your position, Lord Van Zykes? Uh-oh. In truth, my lord, I feel these have been unnecessarily protracted proceedings. But then one must always exercise patience in order to savor the best vintage. No, wait. The mystery of the fourth book still hasn't been... Lick my boots, sir. Sorry? If books are your predilection, my learned friend, study them on your own time. What? No forgive the discourtesy this time? I'm over it. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now state your individual decisions regarding the defendant's culpability of the court to hear.
Guilty!
Guilty.
I don't like it.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
No, not again. Are we gonna have to do another jury, who's a what's-its? Because this video has gone on long enough. Thank you for that unambiguous response. That's twice now. It's over. Mr. Naruhodo, don't give up. Miss Suzuto? Have you forgotten? The battle isn't over yet. You're not suggesting. Of course, the defense has the right to another summation examination at this point. You can still convince the jurors to change their minds. You have one more chance. My lord, the defense asks to exercise its right to a summation examination. Again. Humph. You believe you still have the tricks up your sleeve? I don't intend to trick anybody. I intend to uncover the truth. This is no time to be downcast. As long as there's a chance, I have to stay strong and determined. Ah, dang. We're already at like 2 hours and 10 into the recording. Oh, okay. Okay. Good. I got nervous there. I was really debating, maybe now I should really, quit. Or, end the video. I gotta say, I'm really liking this case. So far, I think this is my favorite case yet. I know we're not done with it yet. I figured there had to have been a connection with what happened with the Garridebs. Otherwise, that would have been a complete waste of time. Which is kind of what they were alluding to. They kind of said, oh, this was a waste of time. We didn't learn anything. But, so the book, one of the flaming books from the crime scene ended up on the street. At first, I thought that, that the lady... I keep forgetting her name, what the victim's name is, but that maybe she stole the book, took the book from the house directly and went outside. But that would make sense if it was thrown out the window by her. I still think, I don't really know, but I still think my theory could hold water that maybe there's a switcheroo here, and maybe the lady who's been killed is Mrs. Garadev, and maybe the maid is posing as her. Who knows, maybe Mr. Garadev or the maid herself were behind it, and then they did a little switch. Because again, all I'm going on is they're both plump women, and we've never seen the wife's face. Like, even in the photograph, it was punched out. So, there's a chance, right? There's definitely a chance, since they have the same figure. I just don't know any reason why that would be the case. But it would show a connection there, and it would put the Garadevs, or maybe Mr. or Mrs. Garadev, or the maid, whatever, whoever she is, as our prime suspect. I don't know, it was just an eventful trial. I really enjoyed it. I'm enjoying the case. Yeah, and like I said, I think it's my favorite so far, but we'll see how it concludes. And again, I don't know if, obviously we're continuing the trial next episode, and I don't know if that means, this case is gonna end here. I have a feeling we're gonna go into another investigation and then probably one last trial. That's my guess. But we'll find out soon, won't we? So, this will most likely be split into 2 episodes, and then we'll get on to the second part of the trial. So, thank you guys, as always, so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. And if you would, I'd be very appreciative if you would go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel. And share the video with people. More views, the better. Hit that notification bell if you want to know when more of these Ace Attorney videos or any of my other series go up. And just want to say, once again, I appreciate you guys. I love you. And I hope you are enjoying the series. So that's all for now. Take care. And bye-bye.